Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Here we are. I'm just glad and relieved that President Trump made it out of China alive. You know, he is the most targeted man in the world, the most famous man, the most targeted man. A lot of people would love to have him dead. And, somebody called here a couple of weeks ago pointing out poison, pointing out anthrax, pointing out all kinds of things they could do to him. I think he should only be in controlled environments. He's back. They didn't release a great big gigantic communique. And you know what people are grumbling about? There were no deliverables. Where are the deliverables? Deliverables. Never heard that word in anything other than a diplomatic, right? Deliverables. So what they do is for months and months and months, they give the bureaucrats something to do, and they come up with this great big document. Nobody's going to make good on it or anything, but it's just it'll look like they're going to do all this stuff in the future. They're going to trade this. They're going to cooperate on that, and it's like 1,000 pages long. And then they just go to sign the thing, and it's purely ceremonial. This was not purely ceremonial. We're talking about more important things than deliverables, all right? I mean, it sounds nice. Well, you got to have something to deliver. How about really, really looking at that guy in the eye and getting them to do something right now on Iran, right? Getting them to do something smart on Iran. What do they want from us? Don't say anything about Taiwan? No problem. We won't say anything about Taiwan. You guys are obsessed with that island. It's like an ex-girlfriend or something like that. Fine. We won't say anything about it. Anybody asks us a question, we'll be very vague. President Trump is that way, actually, just this morning. Will you invade or will you use military to protect Taiwan? Well, there's an answer to that question, and only I know the answer. That's what I'm going to say. You know what that's called? It's our policy. It has been for a long time. Strategic ambiguity. Say that at the dinner party. Well, regarding Taiwan, I'm in favor of strategic ambiguity, right? And you'll be right. That's actually the policy. Can I hear President Trump on Air Force One? This is him just a little while ago telling off a New York Times fake reporter who just the other day wrote that after all that bombing of Iran, we didn't do any damage to Iran. We didn't do any damage to Iran's military capacity. Just a total fake news con job. And President Trump let this jerk have it. Cut 14, please.
The bombing, you did it for 38 days.
No, we did.
And you did not get the political changes in Iran.
No, I had a total military victory. But the fake news, guys like you write incorrectly. You're a fake guy. And guys like you write about it incorrectly. We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out all of their anti-aircraft weaponry. We knocked out all of their radar. We knocked out all of their leaders, number one, and then we knocked out all of their leaders in the 2nd Division, and we knocked out numerous of their leaders in the 3rd Division. And they're very confused. We've had a total victory, except by people like you that don't write the truth. You know, you should write. I actually think it's sort of treasonous what you write, but you and the New York Times and CNN, I would say, are the worst.
Right. So on another war,
you should know better. You're a professor. You know better. Your editors tell you what to write, and you write, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
This is another war. Is there any?
I actually think it's treason when you write like they're doing well militarily and they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-anything. By the way, we knocked out 85% of their manufacturing for the missiles. We knocked out everything. We haven't knocked out other than one bridge that we did because they misbehaved. But we have bridges we could knock out. We could knock out their bridges and their electrical capacity within 2 days. We could knock out the whole thing. And then I read the New York Times, and they act like they're doing well. And everybody knows that. That's why your subscribers are way down. You know, the Times subscribers are way down because it's fake news. Times subscribers.
How about that? Hey, somebody has to say it. I'm glad you said it, man. I'm glad. They are fake. They are terrible. They are weird. Hey, what happened to my phone? Oop, there it is. Now, here he lays into the BBC. Cut 15, please. Cut 15. Next one.
This morning, FBI Director Kash Patel is battling a new controversy after a visit to one of the most hallowed places in America.
Oh, yeah.
The Associated Press reporting that while on an official visit to Hawaii last summer, Patel took a rare VIP snorkeling tour of Pearl Harbor. The Navy arranging for him to swim near the wreckage of the USS Arizona, where 900 sailors and Marines perished in the Japanese bombing in December of 1941. The snorkeling expedition was not on Patel's public schedule.
Hey, stop for a
morning,
second.
The Navy confirming
you
that
know how much it costs to snorkel? It's free. You don't have air tanks. You don't have anything. It's a totally free activity. What do you need? To get dropped off in a boat? Is that what's so fancy? The FBI director can't take the afternoon off and go snorkeling. Snorkeling. That's not scuba diving. It's a little thing with a tube. It's a plastic tube. You could do it with the toilet paper roll. Keep going, please, if you don't mind, Lou.
This morning, FBI Director Kash Patel is battling a new controversy.
Oh, we're going to start from the top?
To one of
Okay.
the most hallowed places in America. The Associated Press reporting that while on an official visit to Hawaii last summer, Patel took a rare VIP snorkeling tour of Pearl Harbor. The Navy arranging for him to swim near the wreckage of the USS Arizona, where 900 sailors and Marines perished in the Japanese bombing in December of 1941.
Is there a problem?
The snorkeling expedition was not on Patel's public schedule, but this morning the Navy confirming that it took place and that Patel's group was briefed not to come in contact with the USS Arizona in any way while they were swimming nearby. In rare instances, the Park Service and Navy have arranged for similar excursions for other VIPs. But this episode highlights growing concerns among critics about whether Patel is using his public office to score personal perks. During the Olympics, he was seen on camera pounding beers with the U.S. men's hockey team as they celebrated their gold medal. Patel insisted he was in Milan on unrelated official business. Earlier this week, he was grilled by Senate Democrats about reports in The Atlantic, who he's now suing, after it reported on alleged bouts of excessive drinking, and that he's produced personalized bottles of bourbon. Patel flatly denies allegations of overdrinking, and a bureau spokesman says gifts have been a tradition. This morning, the White House is standing by Patel, calling him a critical member of the team. The FBI did not deny that the snorkeling event took place, calling it a historical tour to honor our heroes who died on the USS Arizona, not a party.
Wow, this is what they got him on. He's in Hawaii, surrounded by water, and the Navy, right, took a government employee, let him swim, let him go swimming, and they're acting like that's a big story. Oh, and he was drinking. I have proof that Jim Comey got drunk off his ass while he was FBI director at a wedding in Iowa and could not wake up when he needed to be awakened. He's the FBI director, and he was out cold by his own admission. It's totally amazing. It really is. It happened. I'll find it in a second. The reason why he's under such intense scrutiny, and it's all fake, right? Scrutinizing normal behavior and trying to make it look like a scandal. Well, here's the deal. He is trying to clean house, right? And that's okay. You're allowed to clean house, except if the house is the federal government, the swamp, the deep state, right? They are more important than the people elected. Here is the guy who came before Patel. His name is Driscoll, real character. He really does look like some sort of pirate or somebody like that. It's got this cheesy mustache. There's something really strange about him. And what he says here is amazing. All they want to do, they got a new leadership team, the Trump administration, and they want to know what the hell the FBI has been up to. Listen to this guy talk about how he handled their routine requests. How he, Brian Driscoll, acting director of the FBI, thought he was more important than everybody else. Cut 12, if you don't mind, please.
In the lawsuit, it says that Beauvais told you that an allegation of misconduct was not necessary for him to terminate FBI personnel if he subjectively felt a loss of confidence in their ability to carry out the president's agenda.
When that request was made, we take it in. Okay, tell me more. Why? Well, cultural rot in the FBI.
That was a phrase they used, cultural rot.
Yes. All of these other uninformed and wrong opinions that they felt very strongly about. So I was telling them this is wrong. And if there is corruption or misconduct, we've looked into it, but we will look into it again.
Stop.
But
We've already looked into it. We will look into it again if you want us to. But everything is fine here at the FBI. Yeah, no, it was fine and totally legal when we sent the FBI SWAT team in to get the January 6er who didn't break anything or hurt anybody and never committed the crime in his life. It was fine. There was no corruption. There was no attempt to say, I don't know, besmirch an entire political movement and a political candidate, Donald Trump, MAGA, by sending in the SWAT team to make MAGA look like it was some sort of threat to democracy. We had nothing to do with that. Keep going, please, if you don't mind.
I don't have the trust to just blindly give you a list of names and hope that they don't get fired.
Well, they serve at the pleasure of the president, right? The too many bureaucratic, sometimes it's very hard to fire somebody, even if they're incompetent, right? They'll sue, they'll do this. That's what this guy is doing. He's suing because he lost his job. He was terrible. He was in open defiance. We need a list of all the people who are doing this. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I don't want them to get fired. Okay, well, we'll fire you. And they did. Now he's suing for his job back. What a piece of... Cut 13, if you don't mind. Cut 13.
Driscoll and Rob Kassane, his deputy, talked with each of the 8 senior FBI officials Beauvais wanted fired or forced into retirement.
Rob and I explained to him, if you choose to stay and potentially get terminated, and we'll do anything we can, or you can retire. Even through all of Beauvais' utterances, they still wanted to stay and serve.
But in the end, all of them chose to retire.
It was a nightmare. Just like I felt on 9/11, the feeling of just absolute helplessness. You have the weight of 38,000 people and the world's finest law enforcement organization on your shoulders, and you're watching it be compromised illegally.
Somebody wanted a list. Somebody wanted to find out what you guys have been doing up for the past 4 years, right? Trying to basically debunk the Hunter Biden laptop before it came out. The January 6th, your fake investigation into President Trump. And that's worse than 9/11. That son of a bitch, Brian Driscoll. I got to find out where this guy lives and maybe organize a protest. A legal protest outside of his house. Brian Driscoll. He actually sounds like he might be a New Yorker. I think he's from around here. What a 9/11. You believe that one? Now, here's the culture of that place. One other thing, and this is a pet peeve of mine, right? Because Chris Christie, fatso governor of New Jersey, actually got in the way of my dad becoming the FBI director under Trump. He took his buddy, Chris Wray, and said, oh, no, you can't trust Ray Kelly. Oh, Ray Kelly, no. He's a Bloomberg guy. He's a Democrat. He's this, he's that. Christopher Wray, on the other hand, Christopher Wray, another wannabe cop. Watch out for the wannabe cops, by the way. Anyway, Comey is meeting President Trump for the second time. And here he is making a really bizarre admission. He's in the room with the President of the United States, and he hides. He's the director of the FBI in February of 2017, and he doesn't want to shake hands with the President of the United States, so he hides. Jim Comey, FBI guy who's everywhere right now, he looks like a wrecked man. There's something very, very wrong with him. Cut 11, if you don't mind. Cut 11.
I walked into the blue room, went to the far opposite end. I was now as far away as physically possible.
The FBI director, 6'8", tries to become invisible.
I look, and right next to me is this blue curtain. And I'm wearing a blue suit that doesn't match perfectly, but close enough. So I'm thinking, how great is that? I got a little camouflage. And so I start moving over, and I pressed myself against the blue curtain, thinking, this is my save. This will save me from having this public embrace with the president.
This will save me. He won't see me. I'll hide. I'll blend in with the background. I'm the director of the FBI in the room with the president of the United States, and I don't want to be seen with him. What the hell is that all about? How about this? He was ashamed, a guilty conscience. He knew what he had launched the Russia collusion. He had illegally wiretapped and spied on a presidential candidate and president-elect. He'd done all kinds of crazy, weird stuff. He was trying to get back in the good graces of the Democrats because the Democrats were mad at him because he basically blew up Hillary Clinton's campaign in the middle of the election. Just a crazy, weird guy. That is an amazing moment, isn't it? I think I'll just blend in here. I think I'll just... 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. I'm having nightmares about that guy getting pushed down the stairs. Literally having nightmares about that guy who got pushed down the stairs by the maniac who killed him. 73-year-old guy pushed down the subway stairs. And that guy had to be in prison, was let out by a lenient judge. There are thousands of these people walking all over the city. And I notice, oh, by the way, that some of them seem to, I'm talking about the deranged characters, you know them when you see them, seem to have a little bit of a pep in their step lately. Have you noticed that? Like, try something. I know the rules have changed. I know I got the upper hand. I know I'm going to be all right. All right?
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A lot of pressure to do something on the weekends. You ever notice that? What are you doing this weekend? What'd you do this weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? I don't know. Lay around, hang around. I don't know. Feel like I gotta. I'm going on an excursion to. We're gonna go rock climbing, and then we're gonna go brunch, and then we're gonna drive up to the Adirondacks. I don't know. I'm not doing any of that. The kids have this, that, and the other thing. A birthday party. A lot of birthday parties. When I was growing up, I have no recollection of my parents going with me to other children's birthday parties. I mean, they may have dropped me off. But the birthday party was kind of like, that's it. All right. I'm at the birthday party. I had great birthday parties. And there are pictures of me and my friends and maybe my mom and dad in the picture, especially my mom. She was great during those birthday parties. But I didn't see a bunch of other parents. I mean, we're all like required to go. And am I the only one bored here? I mean, what is this all about? Also, once they get into like sports, and the 6-year-old is now starting to get into sports. I mean, it's one thing to go to the games, but we're supposed to go to the practice. I don't want to. I love being a dad, but I just let's let them practice, and then let me know when I can see the results. I know for a fact that we didn't do that when I was growing up, and I wasn't the only one. It was like nobody went to the practices. You dropped your kid off, if that, or they rode their bike. That's what they did. They rode their bike to the practice. And then we practiced and well, not really. Sometimes we did. Some people took it very seriously. Me, kinda. Anybody see those body language experts try to decode the behavior? If you look at Xi and Trump together during this whole jamboree over there, it seems to me that they actually have very similar body language. Now, this one lady noticed that they both don't move their left arms. When they're walking, President Trump and President Xi both don't move their left arms. The left arm hangs straight down, and it's right against the body. Interesting, right? Listen to this lady. Cut 3, if you don't mind. Cut 3. Yeah.
Also notice how both of them are matching and mirroring the left arm down and at the side. Now, typically that means close to the side, that they're feeling a little bit tense in a particular situation, because the arm just naturally lifts up and goes away from the side when somebody's fully relaxed. Here, instead, we see tension.
I would wonder what President Trump would say. Tense? I'm totally relaxed. How do you evaluate this body language? And he gives her the middle finger. He would never do that. And tense, I saw a lot of people say, oh, there's tension. Oh, President Xi was the dominant one because he was leading in a certain moment. No, he wasn't leading. President Trump has already met his own cabinet. He's introducing his cabinet to President Xi. President Xi is going to be closer to the cabinet as he shakes their hands. I thought it was I thought Xi was kind of deferential. I thought it was very appropriate. On the way back, though, I don't know why. He does this. They ask for it. They ask dopey questions. The fake news went over there on Air Force One, and a lot of them went on private. I mean, regular airlines, because you can't all fit on Air Force One. And they charge you to be on Air Force One, by the way. It's not free. Here he is laying into somebody. Cut 17, please.
Investigation. But that is under investigation.
Are you able to confirm yet that it was a U.S. missile?
Who you with?
BBC, for the radio.
Fake BBC. You mean the ones that put AI in my mouth? The ones that had me saying a statement that they now admit was not true? That the ones that put terrible words in my mouth and then had to admit that it was fake? The ones that are being sued now for $5 billion and don't know what to do? You with BBC? They're another fake outfit. Yeah.
About the deals in China? Did you get a deal?
It is another fake outfit. What they did was they rearranged President Trump's January 6th speech and made it sound like he was asking for violence when he wasn't doing anything like that. And they thought they could get away with it. At that time, post-January 20th, 2021, nobody thought that President Trump would come back. Except me. I'm literally like one of 4 people in the whole country who believed he could come back and would come back. And I know what it was like. And every time I look at the Fox News and I see these guys, and they were fair weather friends. As soon as there was a little bit of heat around President Trump, they all ran. They all dropped him. They wouldn't utter his name. It was all Ron DeSantis for 3 years on that channel. 3 years, Ron DeSantis. How about that one, Ron DeSantis? But President Trump won, and, everybody loves a winner, right? Everybody loves a winner. Remember that Louis Tiant back in the 80s? That great yet fat, strangely fat pitcher on the Yankees for a little while? What the hell else is going on? I do want to get to this thing. And you got to walk a line here. I know it seems old. It seems ancient, but we can't let it fade away. We can't forget that the entire government sabotaged President Trump, his first administration. And that makes Barack Obama basically a traitor and a coup plotter. And there has to be, I don't like the word accountability. There has to be something more than accountability. There has to be, he has to be in jail. Okay, he belongs in prison for the stuff he did. We just saw this on social. President Trump wants us to see it. Are you ready for this? Tulsi Gabbard. This is on Truth Social. And she's explaining the whole case against Saddam Hussein Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, and his seditious conspiracy. Cut 16.
Documents that you're referencing that I released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people, who in November of 2016 delivered a historic victory to President Trump, defeating Hillary Clinton. And President Obama and his team, their goal was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people and to use this manufactured, politicized intelligence as a means to enact what would become essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. You have gone into great detail over these years of what the effects of this document and this decision have resulted in. Obviously, a years-long Mueller investigation that cost taxpayers almost $40 million, 2 congressional impeachments, endless smears and attacks against not only President Trump, but his family. He had senior members of his team who were investigated, some arrested and jailed. We had heightened and increased tensions between the United States and Russia. The list goes on and on about the consequences of President Obama and his senior cabinet members politicizing intelligence once again, and I say these words very clearly, to enact what was essentially a years-long coup, subverting the will of the American people in that election in November. Now, you referenced this President's Daily Brief document that was drafted for President Obama in early December that reaffirmed what the intelligence community professionals, as you say, had been assessing for the previous 6 months leading up to the election, which was that Russia neither had the intent nor capability to essentially hack the outcome of the U.S. election. As you said, President Obama's political appointees pulled that document before it could be published, and it has not been published until we released it today. And the very next day after they pulled that document, President Obama called a National Security Council cabinet meeting to discuss how Russia interfered with the election. Again, this is the first
this
week
is
of December.
9th,
President
right?
Trump had already won. Correct.
This is the December 9th meeting.
That's exactly right. The December 9th meeting, we declassified and released what they call the summary of conclusions from that meeting. Then DNI James Clapper took the lead on what President Obama wanted done, and which was essentially create a document that tells us not if, but how Russia interfered with the election. President Obama delivered the conclusion that he wanted the intelligence community to reach and directed them to find and essentially create and manufacture the intelligence to support the conclusion that President Obama wanted to deliver to the American people. Once that document was drafted, the deep state kicked into gear and did what they usually do. They started leaking this classified information out to their friends at the Washington Post and others who are working hand in glove with the deep state to lay the groundwork for the assessment that they eventually released that served as the basis once again for this years-long coup with the goal of trying to subvert the American people's will and usurp President Trump from being able to deliver on the mandate that the American people gave to him when they chose to elect him as president of the United States.
All right. So there's a lot there, but not really at the same time. What they did, look, Russia actually preferred Hillary Clinton in 2016 because they knew a lot more about her than Donald Trump. They had all this stuff. She had been first lady. She had been a senator. She had been basically a future bigwig all the way back to Arkansas. Russia keeps tabs on all kinds of people. They have profiles on the governor's wives, all that stuff. They had volumes and volumes and volumes on Hillary Clinton, her strengths, her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities, right? They had nothing on Trump. Trump was never considered a potential president of the United States by Russia. Remember when he ran, everybody thought he was a joke. Not me, not the pros, not the insightful ones, not the ones in touch with the people, but all the pros. They thought it was a joke, right? The chattering class and the rest, and the intelligence community on our, and no chance. There's no chance. And so they say that. The intelligence says that. The intelligence says the Russians couldn't and didn't hack this election. Did they spend $100,000 on Facebook ads making fun of Hillary Clinton? Sure. Did that make any difference? No. Did they have an active preference for Donald Trump? No. Well, Barack Obama, he doesn't like them prices. So he tells them to come up with another conclusion, and they do. And they use that to sabotage the presidency of Donald Trump. How do you do it? You dirty him up. You make him, is this guy a Russian asset? Now, for a guy to do that like Barack Obama, and he did do it, like, just put that in perspective. If you dirty up the president of the United States on purpose when you're a president, like, and you lie and you use government institutions and mechanisms to do that, you're guilty of many, many crimes. And I love it. I love it that it's all coming out. And, we have to reemphasize it. Again, conservative media. Oh, I told that story 3 months ago when she put those. Yeah, no, it's not enough. It's not enough. You remember the Russia hoax? For every day for 2 years. Boom, 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 boom. Every day they march in the same direction. Trump is a traitor. Trump is a Russian asset. Oh, my gosh. What happened in Malta? What happened with everything? They just all that whole big ball of dirt, and they throw it at Trump day in and day out. But on our side, oh, yeah. No biggie. Yeah, we covered that already. What else is new? Let's make fun of the women on The View. Oh, they said something stupid again. Wow. That's interesting. No, it's not. Let me see here. I do have... Oh, give me a break, all right? And then I have a child-rearing question, please. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly Show.
When are kids supposed to be able to read? When I don't remember being able when it clicked. I don't remember. Second grade, first grade, kinda. Remember learning about the vowels. Sometimes I think that they're very, very advanced. Sometimes I think that they may need a little bit of remedial. Sometimes, there's a big pressure to get tutors. I had a tutor once, Mr. Schenkel. We paid him $35 an hour to teach me a little bit more math. I was terrible in math. But there's a big kind of push to get tutors. And then you got to get a tutor for the tutor. There's the golf team. I heard a friend of mine bringing up kids in North Carolina, very nice school. And the kid is like in fourth grade on the golf team. And every single member of the golf team, has their own golf tutor. And each one is encouraged to get their own personal golf coach. Isn't that the coach's job? What about the coach? Is this like the Yankees? You got a first base coach, a third base coach. You got all these coaches, these assistant coaches, but these are private tutor coaches, and there's a premium on that, right? To get the kids there learning about words and all that stuff. It's very, very important. I know it's important. But sometimes I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a racket. They want you paying for all these tutors, and they're referring each other. You got to get a tutor. I wonder if there's a kickback thing going on sometimes with tutors, right? A little bit. Just a little bit. There's a lot flowing around there. Now, this girl is 4 years old, all right? Now, it's very, very amazing the way she talks and the way she sings. And now, it's very babyish, too, which I love. I guess my question is she at or above or below 4-year-old level? All right? All right? So she sings a little song here. This is Baby Madeline. Well, I call her a baby. She's 4. All right? 4.5. Go ahead. Could you sing it for me?
I like to be under the sea, in the octopus's garden, in the shade. Let the fin knows where he been, in the octopus's garden, in the shade.
Oh,
very beautiful.
It is very beautiful. I think she's perfect. I think she's absolutely perfect. I hope she talks that way for the rest of her life. I think it's amazing. Fatherhood, motherhood. Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're doing. They throw tantrums sometimes in the morning. They can be shockingly brutal and loud, but I just kind of roll with it. And one thing you're supposed to do is change their state. You take them and you put them in another room, or better yet, you leave the house with them. You just leave the house, and something about it change their state. You change their surroundings. And you know whose surroundings we're going to change pretty soon, though? A guy named Brennan, who went to Fordham University. I can't believe the guy went to Fordham. John Brennan ran the CIA, even though he's a communist, and he switched to Muslim. I believe he's Muslim. He switched from Catholic to Muslim. How about that one? At least there's serious indications that, he's rooting for the enemy. And here's John Brennan basically describing out loud that they are in contact with people inside the government who are right now working to undermine the duly elected president of the United States, Donald Trump. Former CIA Director John Brennan. This is the guy you kind of subpoena and say, who the hell are you talking about, John? You're not supposed to upset or thwart the president when you work for the president. Cut 7.
There's still a legion of professionals in the law enforcement environment, Department of Justice, as well as the CIA and other places, the ones who are refusing to follow politically motivated prosecutions, those who are refusing to support any type of political activities on the part of the Trump administration that are inconsistent with the authorities, the responsibilities of the intelligence community, law enforcement community, and Department of Justice.
Well, that sounds to some people, well, yeah, of course, you can't follow political orders. Why not? What's wrong with politics? What's wrong with the people who got elected? They think they don't have to listen. They have insulated themselves from us, the people. It doesn't work that way. And it's fascinating that they have so poisoned our conversation, our national conversation, that actually can be uttered and nobody blinks an eye. Talk about traitors. This is Nicole Wallace. To me, she looks like Peppermint Patty from Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Actually, not Peppermint Patty. Who was that girl who got sick once? The nice girl from out of town. But she's not a nice girl. Cut 5, if you don't mind. No, make that cut 6, please. Cut 6.
Succeeded largely in turning DOJ and the FBI into political arms of his political operation. What still exists in the system to slow that down?
Okay, she's talking about what still exists in the system to slow down the politics of President Trump in the system, within the deep state, in the bureaucracies, in the FBI, in the CIA. How does the executive branch slow down the chief executive, the president? It doesn't work that way. We got checks and balances. That's fine. Remember from social studies, the judicial can be a check. The congressional can be a check, but there's no inherent check on the executive branch within the executive branch, right? Sometimes you can't regulate everything, right? We elect a president. It's a little bit of a leap of faith, right? We expect him to be a good guy. He is a good guy. If he's not a good guy, there are methodologies. You got impeachment. You got that. But really, no, you don't have the FBI just suddenly appointing itself. We're the arbiters here of what's democratic, what's not, what's a threat to democracy, what's not. Get the hell out of it and stay the hell out of it. It really is interesting. It's kind of an eye-opener for me to see all this stuff in plain view. Now, sometimes I do feel like, yelling and screaming and people have moved on. I don't care. This is too important. It's too important to just say, well, it's happened a long time ago. Well, no, it's so dangerous, and it's cloaked in this warm blanket of service, right? Service. Oh, service. Service. We're so good. We're so good. Just ask us. We're so good for the people. Here we go. The men and women of the law enforcement community, the men and women of the intelligence community, the men and women. They love saying men and women. It automatically puts members of Congress on their heels. Ooh, boy, I was never in the intelligence community. I was never a police officer. I was never in the military. It's an intimidation move. It sounds righteous and beautiful. It's just a power play. Cut 4, please. Cut 4.
I found it in the company of dedicated men and women who start every day committed to doing nothing more or less than what is right.
The men and women of law enforcement who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes.
But the vast majority of men and women working at the Bureau do phenomenal work.
Simply put, sir, you cannot stop
the men and women of the FBI from doing the right thing.
You cannot stop. You cannot stop. They know what the right thing is. Just ask them. What makes them so good? What makes them so better? What makes them? They don't have to have a boss? That's how it goes. Hey, what about this? Who remembers Nancy Sinatra? Nancy Sinatra is currently engaged in a big social media battle defending Frank's politics. And maybe we could have her come on the program. But I don't know. Isn't she kind of a wacko leftist? I bet she goes around saying that Frank would hate Trump, right? Isn't that her thing? These boots were made for walking. She can walk right the hell out of this room when I'm in it. I have no interest in her pretending that her father would have not liked Trump. I think they actually knew each other, President Trump. And let's see here. She's making a big deal about how Frank helped get weapons to Israel by acting as a courier for the FBI, and the Arab countries would never suspect. I can confirm the veracity of this account. Let me go through that again. She's making a big deal about how Frank Sinatra helped get weapons to Israel by acting as a courier. Well, I like this. That's great. But Nancy is a big-time Trump hater. All right, get her on the phone. Let's find out what's going on. We like Frank. We don't want him maligned. But just because you're related to him doesn't mean you know everything about him. And certainly it doesn't mean you can be unbiased. All right. I'm sure she's a great person, although she does have some pretty nutty politics. Frank. How about that guy? I wish I could have met him. You know? Frank. Tough guy. Drank a lot. How was he able to be so thin? He was so thin, but he drank a lot. There's so much sugar in that. Somebody once told me, you know how he did it? Half an entree. Whatever was on his plate, he'd only eat half. Frank Sinatra would have been like, 115. Too soon. There's the music. Be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?